Hello everyone, Douglas here, and welcome to my Doctor Who review, and today I will be reviewing Father's Day. Before we do dive into the review, I am so sorry for the very long delay, because I was actually in England on vacation, and if you're wondering, yes, I did see some Doctor Who stuff. I actually went to Liverpool at the Liverpool World Museum, and I actually did see the Doctor Who exhibit there, which was really cool. So, let's begin with the review. This story is the first one to be written by Paul Cornell, who had written Doctor Who stories in the Virgin New Adventures book range, and this story is the second one to be directed by Joe Ahearne. This story deals with rewriting history, and if you watched my classic Doctor Who review on the Aztecs, what did the first Doctor say? You can't rewrite history, not one line. But what if you did rewrite history? What if you changed one line? What would the consequences be now that the Time Lords are dead? Our cold open scene begins with a picture of Rose's dad and a narration by Rose, and we find out his name is Peter Tyler. We see Rose as a kid, and we see Jackie played by Camille Coduri, and she is telling Rose about her dad. We are in the TARDIS, and we see the Ninth Doctor played by Christopher Eccleston, and Rose played by Billie Piper, and Rose is telling the Doctor about her dad. We see Rose wants the Doctor to go back in time to see her dad. I like the Doctor's line when he says, "Your wish is my command, but be careful what you wish for." Yeah, like that is going to happen. Our opening scene begins with the Doctor and Rose at Pete and Jackie's wedding. We see the Doctor takes Rose to November 7th, 1987. We see a line of posters, and we see Bad Wolf, and we see the Doctor and Rose are standing on Jordan Road. We see a green car, and we see Pete, played by Sean Dingwall. We see Pete get out of his car, and he is hit by the car. We see Rose wants to try again, so she can be with her dad when he dies. We see they are back on Jordan Road, and we see the other Doctor and Rose. We find out from the Doctor that this is the last time they can be here. We see Rose runs off and she saves her dad. One of the scenes I like is when we see the Doctor is mad, and you can tell that is not supposed to happen. We see the point of view from the alien. The best line from the Doctor when he says, "I picked another stupid ape. I should have known. It's not about showing the universe. It never is. It's about the universe doing something for you. My entire planet is dead. My whole family. Do you think it never occurred to me to go back and save them?" I think that is a perfect example if you change history. We see the Doctor tells Rose to give him the TARDIS key, and I like this because he thinks Rose is another failed companion like Adam Mitchell from the Lawn Game. We see Rose give the Doctor the TARDIS key and walks off. We see the alien is watching the Doctor walking back to the TARDIS. We see the Doctor arrives back at the TARDIS, and we find out the console room is gone. We see Pete and Rose are on their way to the wedding, and we see Rose is on the phone, and we hear, "Watson, come here, I need you." And that is the first phone call by Alexander Graham Bell. We see the car that is going to hit Pete is following him, and it vanishes. We see Pete and Rose arrived at the church, and we see the car again. We see a younger Mickey, played by Casey Dyer, and we see his friend and mom vanished. We see the Doctor running and yelling Rose's name, and he tells her to get into the church. And we see the monsters, and those are the Reapers. And I think I am going to need more cowbell for this review. I love the doctor's line when he says this to Jackie, when he says, "I've waited a long time to say this. Jackie Tyler, do as I say. Go and check the doors." I should have done that ages ago. We find out from the doctor that time's been damaged and they come to sterilize the wound by consuming everything inside. We see that Pete finds out that Rose is her daughter from the future. We see Rose is about to touch baby Rose and the doctor tells Rose, "Don't touch the baby." We find out from the doctor that he has no plan. We see Rose tells the doctor that she is sorry, and you can say that Rose is a redeemable companion. We see the doctor and Rose hug each other, and Rose feels something in the doctor's jacket, and it's the TARDIS key, and it's glowing. We find out that the doctor is still connected to the TARDIS. We see that Jackie eavesdrops on Rose and Pete's conversation, and we see Pete hands baby Rose to Rose, and the Reaper gets in. We see the doctor sacrifices himself, and it's gone. And the TARDIS key is code. We see that Pete realizes that he has to die, and we see him say goodbye to Rose, and he sacrifices himself by getting hit by the car. And we see the Reapers are gone, and the timeline is fixed, and the doctor is back. We see the doctor tells Rose to go to him, and we see Pete dies. We do see some parts of the timeline did change. We see the doctor and Rose walk back to the TARDIS, and that is the end. I will say it is a classic, and this is a great example of what would happen if you did rewrite history. I will say the story goes at an easy pace. I think the Reaper's design is really cool. I will say Billie Piper gives a great performance in this story. The script by Paul Cornell is good, and the direction by Joe Ahearne is good, and I would give Father's Day a 10 out of 10. So, that is my review of Father's Day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time for my review of the second two-part story, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. And oh boy, you are not going to believe who wrote this story.